Any of you
Incredible.
are in contact with Woody, please tell her to check out today's uh, class because it's for her.
Well, it's for all of us.
No, it's for
It's
her.
not just for her.
I I can do what I want to do because I said so, and it's my game. We'll play it that way, right? Okay.
I muted did I mute everybody? I think I did. Oh,
Okay,
mercy.
good. It's Cat.
Yes, Dr. Cat. Good morning.
You all look like sisters. Did you ever notice that?
That's a compliment.
Well, you both beautiful women.
Okay.
Yes, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, Theodore Retke, who my first contact with him was as kind of a beat poet, kind of lumped him in with Ferlinghetti and the people out in San Francisco. He was very much a nature poet and was part of that whole back to living in intimacy with nature in the 50s, won a Pulitzer Prize, a few other things. This is a poem called In Dark Times. And I promise you, this is not actually a dark class. My hope is that by the end of it, you're going to feel a tremendous lightening of your spirit, but that's up to you, how you receive it. In a dark time, the eye begins to see. I meet my shadow in the deepening shade. I hear my echo in the echoing wood. A lord of nature, weeping to a tree. I live between the heron and the wren, beasts of the hill and serpents of the den. What is madness but nobility of soul at odds with circumstances? I love that line. What is madness but nobility of soul at odds with circumstances? The day's on fire. I know the purity of pure despair, my shadow pinned against a sweating wall, that place among the rocks. Is it a cave or a winding path? The edge is what I have. A steady storm of correspondences, a night flowing with birds, a ragged moon, and in broad day the midnight comes again. A man goes far to find out what he is. Death of the self and a long tearless night, all natural shapes blazing unnatural light. Dark, dark my light, and darker my desire. My soul, like some heat-maddened summer fly, keeps buzzing at the sill. Which eye is I? A fallen man, I climb out of my fear. The mind enters itself, and God the mind. And one is one, free in the tearing wind. Those last lines, okay, when he says the one is one, little o, capital O. Dark my light, and darker my desire. My soul, like some heat-maddened summer fly, keeps buzzing at the sill. Which eye is I? A fallen man, I climb out of my fear. The mind enters itself, and God the mind. The one is one, free in the tearing wind. Dark times that we embrace are our liberation. And I keep thinking about how can you not take tremendous joy in the opportunity to sit on your cushion, to go outside for a walk, to drink in the sunlight. I mean, it pushes us towards beauty. It pushes us towards liberation because it's too heavy to bear. And it's like he says, when I finally step outside of my fear, what a wonderful line. Because our fear is like a little cubicle that we've crawled into. We've become terrified to go outside. So we live in the dark in a beautiful forest glen, all safe and protected and totally shut off from our source. And then that beautiful line, and the mind enters God, God enters the mind, the one becomes one. And free as a tearing wind. And what's being torn apart? Torn apart is the illusions, torn apart is all the safeties and protections and devices that we've created that need to be rid of. These are the things that are keeping us dead, keeping us from living. Finally, we can go outside because once we've been through that death of the ego, what can scare you? What is there to be afraid of? What can life do to you? So today is a huge liberation moment. If you really grasp what we've been talking about for the past 2 or 3 weeks, we've been saying you are not in control of life. Remember that line, what is extraordinary and eternal does not want to be bent by you. That's permission to stop, people. What a tremendous burden gets lifted when that really hits your heart. And you realize, like the image we have of Linnell in the little car seat over the bench seat of the old car back in the 50s with the little plastic steering wheel with the horn on it, thinking she's driving the car. That's the ego. Okay? That's us every day. You're not in control of anything out there. Well, today we bring it home even more profoundly. And remember last week, Sharon said, I went to my teacher and I said, give me a magic wand to take away my friend's pain. She suffered so much. Can't I at least have a mechanism, some tool to erase her pain? And her teacher just laughed, said, no, you don't get that. So today she's going to strike home this tremendously liberating sense that I have no control over what other people do. It is therefore not my responsibility. Okay? When that really penetrates that I'm not in control of this out here, and I'm not in control of other people, what they think, feel, and do, you're set free in a tremendously powerful way. And then what's left? What's left? And it reminds me of the end of Zorba the Greek, where they've just murdered a young widow, and Zorba is lamenting the death. And he goes, why do the young die? Why does anybody die? And the Zorba says, and the boss says, I don't know. And Zorba says, then what good are your damn books then if they don't tell you that? And he says, they tell me of the agony of men who ask questions like yours. And Zorba says, I spit on their agony. I spit on their agony. What's he saying? Is that a lack of compassion? Is that a lack of compassion? Or is that a calling to our attention that most of what passes for compassion in our society is a covert narcissism? It's a way of propping up our own emptiness, of wanting to feel like we're important and significant in people's lives, wanting to feel powerful. And Zorba invites us instead to just dance, not wallow in our agony that we're out of control of the suffering of the world, but to find some way to transcend it in the face of it, set ourselves free to dance. What else can you do? So she's going to give us a very powerful teaching today for self-liberation from wanting to fix everybody around us, wanting to fix ourselves. Um, and people ask me, so how do you handle the 20, 30 people a week and all their problems that they bring to you? It's because I know I have absolutely nothing I can do about it. All I can sit and do is be present and share space and share compassion. But outside of that, I know it's up to them what they do. So let's see if we can get liberated today. We've got a very good teacher and very good teaching.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm trying to, can't, okay, it just went off. Oh, I hope it connects to my phone. I hope so.
Guided meditation.
There we go.
The following phrases are the traditional ones.
Okay, let me back it up just a second. Since we missed just a first sentence or two.
Lesson 6, Equanimity Meditation. Welcome back. For today's teaching, we will be working with silently repeating phrases that incline the mind towards equanimity in a guided meditation. The following phrases are the traditional ones. All beings are the owners of their actions. Their happiness and unhappiness depends upon their actions, not upon my wishes for them. The word actions is a translation of the word karma, and this is tricky for a lot of people. A common misunderstanding of karma is that it is aligned with victim blaming, which it is not at all. But understanding it is complex. Maybe a contemporary equivalent would be the invitation to not be codependent. Recognizing we are not in charge of someone's decisions and choices, even as we deepen compassion for them, which we'll talk about in the next section. If those classical phrases make sense to you, all beings are the owners of their actions. Their happiness and unhappiness depend upon their actions, not upon my wishes for them. Certainly you can use them. If it feels inappropriate or struggle in any way, here are some alternatives, and that would be fine. May I accept things as they are. May I be undisturbed by the comings and goings of events. Things are as they are. I wish you happiness, yet cannot make your choices for you. Take a moment to reflect on these phrases and choose one or two that are meaningful to you. If you're not comfortable using these phrases, you can alter them in any way. To begin the practice, take as comfortable a position as possible, sitting or lying down. As you listen to the audio recording, when I become silent, that is your signal to put into practice the guidance that I've just suggested. Take a few deep, soft breaths to let your body settle. Bring your attention to your breath to begin with. When you feel ready, you can move your attention to the silent repetition of the phrases you've chosen. Begin to silently repeat your chosen phrases. All beings are the owners of their actions. Their happiness and unhappiness depend upon their actions, not upon my wishes for them. Or 2 or 3 phrases from, may I accept things as they are. May I be undisturbed by the comings and goings of events. Things are as they are. I wish you happiness, yet cannot make your choices for you. Whenever you find your attention has wandered away from the phrases, gently begin again. No matter where your mind has gone, no matter how far away it has wandered, it doesn't matter. You can actively practice kindness in that moment. Gently let go, gather your energy together, begin again. You can offer this reflection in connection with different people in succession. Get an image of them, say their name, and begin to offer the phrases of equanimity in relation to them silently. Remember, you're not trying to manufacture any kind of emotion or feeling. Instead, focus on gathering all of your attention around just one phrase and seeing what happens. Let the practice move you along. All beings are the owners of their actions. Their happiness and unhappiness depend upon their actions, not upon my wishes for them. Or may I accept things as they are. May I be undisturbed by the comings and goings of events. Things are as they are. I wish you happiness, yet cannot make your choices for you. And when you're ready, you can conclude the meditation. This concludes today's lesson.
Two. All righty, questions, comments?
I'm thinking there's more than just a few that maybe thought that meditation was for them.
I'm going to say, and my only comment is, oh, my thoughts had legs then. Oh, my goodness. What a meditation.
What a meditation.
Yeah.
This
Chance?
reminds me of Anthony DeMello in his book, The Path to Love, where he says, I leave you free to be yourself, to behave in ways that you decide are to your liking.
Thoughts, modes, or tastes? Yeah.
So I have strong reaction. When I first heard some of these lines many years ago, may I accept things as they are, for example, they made me feel hopeless. They made me feel impotent, like I had no power to make the world better. And it really put me into a bit of a funk. So I attended a weekend retreat at the Shambhala Center in Seattle, and it was on the Lojong teachings. So to cut to the chase, number 28 is abandon any hope of fruition. And the instructor, well, the commentary is the key instruction is to stay in the present. Don't get caught up in hopes of what you will achieve and how good your situation will be someday in the future. What you do right now is what matters. And these are written by Shantideva. So in explaining this, the teacher was saying that it's not that you don't do anything, that you feel that you can't you can't work for the best or for the better. It's that where the suffering comes in is when we hold on to an outcome, when there's an outcome that we want as a result of what we are doing. And when that outcome does not happen just the way we envisioned it, that's what causes our suffering.
Absolutely.
This is not saying accept the world as it is and do nothing and just let shit happen. It is that you can work to have a better world, but you also have to recognize that what you're doing is just what you're doing right now in the present, and not think about and not count on an outcome, so that when the outcome does not happen that you maybe thought might happen, you don't get hung up on that. And the other Lojong that is, in my mind anyway, kind of goes with it is number 19. All Dharma agrees at one point. And the commentary is the entire Buddhist teachings, the Dharma, are about lessening one's self-absorption, one's ego clinging. This is what brings happiness to you and all beings.
Absolutely.
So if you look at that in combination with abandon any hope of fruition, it's not about me. What I'm doing right now to maybe make the world a better place in whatever way I'm doing it, whether it's working on climate change or voter rights or, whatever, is what I'm doing in the present. And as long as I don't get hung up on this as part of my ego thing, oh, I am going to make this change, so that when the change doesn't happen, then I suffer.
Absolutely.
So I know this is kind of a subtle difference, and I may not be explaining it all that well, but it was important to me to understand this, because just listening to the words, may I accept things as they are, made me feel hopeless and despairing. You mean all this shit that's happening around me, I'm supposed to just accept it and do nothing? Well, that's not what these things are saying. The Lojongs are saying, yes, you can work in the present moment to make things better. Just don't let it become part of your ego. And also, don't get hung up on the outcome, because there's a perfectly good chance that the outcome is not going to be what you had hoped for.
Absolutely.
And if it does, and if you're open to whatever outcome might happen, it could turn out that the outcome may not be what you had wanted, but might turn out to be something good in its own way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you look at who is it who gets discouraged? That's ego.
Right.
Ego needs to get over itself. Okay. And and so you're exactly right. All of this, that recognition that the minute ego creeps in, we start the narrative, we start the storyline about poor me, look at what a wretched life I have to live. Look at the family members I'm stuck with. Look at the body I'm stuck with. Look at the town I'm stuck with. Look at the culture I'm stuck in. Poor me, poor me, poor me. I mean, it's all about the way things should be if things were behaving the way I think they should behave. And when you begin to see that that's not going to happen, it really is liberating. It's profoundly liberating. This is what we call right relation. Am I in right relationship with life? Am I trying to steer the boat without a rudder and without the power? Then I'm going to sit all day long and feel powerless, when I really could be feeling joy. I really could be feeling loving kindness. All those things should be happening. Well, why aren't I feeling that? Because the world's not going the way I think it should go. Don't tie those two things together.
Right.
Okay? The minute you tie them together, you become ineffective. Tommy.
This lesson this morning really resonated with me, because what it did is it reminded me that the life lesson that I learned from my mother, Linnell's mother, in a phrase, is play the cards you're dealt. That's the life lesson I learned. And it resonated so much, how much that is about equanimity. It is very much about the very things that Sharon talked about. Number one, accept the fact that you've been dealt some cards that you had no choice in. So accept what life is, what's happening in life. That's number one. Number two, to address what Channing was saying, play the cards to the best of your ability. So that's where your behavior and your actions, so your happiness, to go back to what Sharon said, you are the owner of your own happiness, because you play the cards you're dealt. You take what life gives you and you play the cards to the best of your ability. So to me, it's all about equanimity, and it so resonated with what I learned from our mom. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You know, Tommy, and when people come into AA, you know, one of the things that you're hit with almost immediately is that you're feeling as good as you can feel today, given the way you think and the way you behave. That if you want to have a different experience, you're going to have to change. And so it's not our job to change you. We're sitting here with a set of tools that could help you put your life back on track. But if you want to sit in your misery and cling to your ideas and the way you think things should be and you should be treated, then go ahead. Well, that sounds cold. And people are often wonder, well, why aren't you coming out to rescue me from myself? That's not my job. My job is, if you're interested in um, healing yourself and you're confused about the next right step, I may have some ideas, or someone sitting next to me might, that you might want to try, but you're going to have to put them into action. I can't put them into action for you. So that concept that if you don't like how you feel, you have to change yourself. That it puts the focus here. Okay. What is it that, what thoughts do I have that are blocking my joy? What behavior am I doing that's blocking that? As Channy was saying, that's a powerful point of attack. So these teachings say you don't have to create that. You don't have to create the joy. You don't have to create the peace of mind or the equanimity. It's already there. It's a matter of, what do I stop doing? Well, what I stop doing is taking care of everybody else. What I stop doing is trying to control the world and judge it. As Sharon said, I could do a better job than God is doing. We've all had that thought, and that's why we suffer, because we wake up thinking we know better the way life should go than the way it's going right now. There's no way out from that point. That you're trapped. You're automatically trapped with that thought.
Hi, everybody.
Good.
It was before the meditation. I don't know, Bart, if you mentioned the word or if it was in the reading about purity. I've had an experience of equanimity, and that really moved me, but I did not have a language, and I would always call it beauty, that if it was truth, it was beauty. And beauty, I could never really talk to people because the word beauty, no one could really accept that tragedy is beautiful. So beautiful, but it's the word pure. I mean, my whole body, it just has goosebumps from the word purity and whatever life gives me. So there's not a judgment, oh, this is great, or oh, this is horrible, that it is just pure. And somehow that's just, it just relaxes me, even though I, want to sob, but I've always been able to sob whether I'm happy or sad. And that always confused me as a child. Why am I smiling now? Or why am I crying when I'm so happy? And when in meditation, sometimes they say, oh, think of a person, where you have, but it's like with any person or situation, I just see the totality of tragedy and happiness. But that always disturbed me because I knew they were the same thing in a way, but it's that somehow that word purity helps me relax into that idea. So thank you so much for today and for all of you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
I really love that. And, you know, one of the reasons why we don't experience awe and wonder is because we're afraid of that obliteration of the ego's control. When we do see the purity of what's in front of it. So what's the purity? That's that unclouded lens. To me, that's where it comes in. It's not tainted by I want, it's not tainted by language. It's just the pure and unadulterated impact of the energy of life on my life force energy and all those resonances that get set up. It's like when you think about why does an orchestra sound differently than individual instruments, and it's because they resonate with each other. They're not compartmentalized, and that's why when we're moving towards digital recordings, we're losing the resonances with other instruments. When your body becomes a pure, as Rumi says, I'm the flute and God's the breath, you know, that I'm being played by the energies of the universe. How pure is that song? How pure is that song? How beautiful and terrible. Terrible as far as the ego is concerned. It's not about the poor ego. Oh, wham. Sorry about that, but it's about a great shout, a tremendous shout of joy and power, a celebration of the that liberating wind that tears us apart, sets us free. Yeah, love that.
That word hope also to me is like a ball and chain. And to me, all the wishing of the world to be better, I think is like a ball and chain, keeping it the way it is.
Absolutely. No
And
doubt.
right action in the moment. I mean, all what Channy was saying and the fruition. I mean, that's all seen, you know, that's the future, even though it sounds but it's the action and the movement, but really it's the vibration in the moment and then, you know, maybe movement. But as far as the future, it's just fascinating. And the thing is, the one little thing we do set today is like the butterfly wing that moves the current across the world. And we're only thinking about time. And so fruition could be centuries from now. And even though we're doing our one tiny thing in our own purity of whatever and doing right action in the moment, and you know, it may set something way far in the future. So it's that idea of time as well, but that's the ego. It's just so fascinating. But how
Yeah.
hope, I think, really is a ball and chain. But you know, that's just me. Thank you.
Okay.
That's why the teaching is abandon any hope of fruition. Just be in the present, do what you think you need to do today. And, you know, like you said, Julie, the time, the fruition of karma could happen in 100 years. So you know, I think what was important to me was just to understand that the phrase, may I accept things as they are, doesn't mean that you don't do anything in the present. You know, because that made me feel hopeless. So there, you know, yeah, I like what you said, Julie, about time.
Yep.
So Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a Lutheran minister captured by the Nazis, wrote a book called Letters from Prison. And in it, he said, the sooner disillusionment comes to an individual or community, the better. And what he means by that is, think about it. Disillusionment means to be stripped of the illusion. Disillusionment is not a bad thing, all right? And so hope, the brother David Stendhal Rast, who wrote Gratitude, a Heart of Prayer, in that he said, when all your hopes have been dashed, okay? When all your hopes have been dashed, what's left is genuine hope. Okay, genuine hope is rooted in what is. It's not rooted in what will be. It's not the future. The future doesn't exist. Let's think about this for a moment, people. The future is a projection in memory banks in your brain. There's no reality to it. There is no future. Okay? What you call the past are memory banks in your brain. Again, there is no reality to this. Can you really understand that? These are functionings of your brain that aren't happening in reality. The only thing that's really happening was what's happening in the present moment. Everything else is a projection, a fantasy that your brain is creating. So coming to live in this present moment is the only time you're in reality, that you're out of the illusion. You're out of what your brain is manufacturing and projecting. And that's where your true power is. If you can't act in this moment, then there's nowhere to act. That's part of warrior mentality. I can't fight a battle that hasn't started. If you think about that, then what am I here to do? To manifest the peace, love, and joy that I am. Okay? That's why we're here. But first, this has to happen. No, it fucking doesn't. That's a lie we tell ourselves over and over again. Oh, when I get all my work done, then we'll get together. That's the future. It never comes, never happens. Doesn't. Oh, when this happens, then I'll be happy. Then I'll. But how can I be happy when all? Because you are happiness. Because you are joy. Just be what you are, and don't let this other stuff that's a fantasy that you're thinking is tied to it get tied to it. That's the liberation. Set free. Yeah. So Sheldon Kopp, I'll leave you with this thought. Says your clients are going to come in. He's therapist, and they're going to go, oh, fix me. I'm having such a horrible life. He says, step aside, let them fall on the floor. And then they get up and go, oh, fix me. And he steps aside and let them fall on the floor. Said eventually they'll get pissed off at you and say, well, I thought you were supposed to be helping me. Well, I will, but first you got to take responsibility for your own life. Says, so in the meantime, while they're doing all this, what are you supposed to do? And he had the most amazing line, and it served me for 50 years. Enjoy being with your client. Whoa! Wow, what? Yeah. You can't make them wake up quicker than they're going to wake up, but you cannot play the game with them. You cannot have the illusion that we're doing something, but you say, I enjoy being with you. Why won't you enjoy being with me? Well, I've got all these horrible problems. Well, yeah, but I'm here to play with. Does this make any sense? And that's when you become a liberating force, is to offer that invitation right now. If you can't be intimate, if you can't see the purity, if you can't do it right now, then you can't fucking do it. Don't lie to yourself. I'll keep working on that liberation in this moment.
Don't try to fix anybody.
Yeah, don't try to fix anybody else. Look towards the goal that you are, towards the precious life force energy that's being manifest through you. Be that.
Can I share something before we close?
It wouldn't be a Saturday if you didn't, dear.
I put this in the chat. I don't know if anyone is familiar with this, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. This is called Hope by Václav Havel. Either we have hope within us or we don't. It is a dimension of the soul and is not essentially dependent on some particular observation of the world. Hope is an orientation of the spirit, an orientation of the heart. It transcends the world that is immediately experienced and is anchored somewhere beyond its horizons. Hope in this deep and powerful sense is not the same as joy that things are going well, or a willingness to invest in enterprises that are obviously headed for success, but rather an ability to work for something because it is good, because it stands a chance to succeed, not because it stands a chance to succeed. Hope is definitely not the same as optimism. It is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something makes sense, regardless of how it turns out.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's sing out our hopeful voices to the universe.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Tiffany. Deep breath in. Okay, you ready? Are you going to howl with us? All right, take a deep breath in.
Nino likey. Nino likey.
Love you all. Have a
Buddy,
good
love
week.
you too.
Y'all have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Great
That's the
week.
plan.
Go
Love you all.
And
sing and dance and be joyous.
take care.